All right, so you're here for the Deep Dives Halloween special, which can only mean one thing.
You're ready to go deeper than just spooky decorations.
That's right, we're diving into the real deal.
The history, the haunting.
All the stuff that makes this time of year truly spine-tingling.
And where better to start than with the ancient Celts?
Oh, okay, yeah.
And their festival of Samhain.
Samhain, right. Because I think a lot of people, they hear Halloween, they think, candy and costumes.
Right, but this goes way beyond bobbing for apples.
Okay, so tell me more about that. Like, give me the historical context. What was Samhain really about?
So imagine a time, right, where the veil between our world and the spirit world was believed to be at its thinnest.
Oh, wow.
Especially on October 31st. And we're talking about the Celts taking this very, very seriously, not just for a fun costume party,
right,
but for survival.
Oh, wow.
This is about life and death.
Okay, so no pressure then, just life and death. So are you saying that carving pumpkins, for example, wasn't always about these cute Pinterest-worthy designs?
Exactly. Those jack-o'-lanterns, they were meant to appease spirits who might be a little too close for comfort.
Wow.
Remember, this was about respecting, even fearing those forces from beyond.
So that tradition of warding off spirits with a scary face, that's a direct line back to the Celts.
It is.
Wow. It's amazing how these ancient beliefs still echo in our modern celebrations.
It's a fascinating example of cultural transmission. And, it's not just a Celtic thing either, right? This fear of the veil thinning between worlds around October 31st, it pops up in cultures around the globe.
You're right. It's like a universal human experience to get a little spooked this time of year.
It is.
I mean, we've got Day of the Dead in Mexico.
Yes, where families welcome back the spirits of loved ones, creating this beautiful blend of celebration and remembrance.
Right.
They're acknowledging that connection, that thinning of the veil in a way that's both festive and deeply spiritual.
And then there's Japan's Obon Festival, with those beautiful floating lanterns guiding ancestral spirits back home.
Again, different culture, different tradition, but that same core idea that around this time of year, that boundary between the physical and the spiritual, it becomes blurred.
Yeah, you're right. It's fascinating. So we've got these ancient cultures confirming that Halloween is when those lines get blurry. They do.
But they also gave us some seriously creepy legends that are still giving people goosebumps today.
Absolutely. And those legends weren't just campfire stories, They were warnings, cautionary tales about what happens when the veil weakens and those ancient fears manifest.
All right, then. Those ancient fears sound like a perfect place to pick up our next chapter. Okay, so we've got these ancient cultures basically giving us this spooky heads up about Halloween.
Yeah.
But it's the legends they left behind that really fire up the imagination, right?
Absolutely.
Like, those stories weren't just meant to scare, they were cautionary tales passed down to warn people about what could happen if they weren't careful when the veil between worlds thinned.
Exactly.
Which gets me thinking about one legend in particular.
Okay.
Good old Stingy Jack and the jack-o'-lantern.
I mean, everyone loves a good pumpkin carving this time of year, but I bet most people don't even know the spooky story behind it.
It's a classic, tricking the devil, not once, but twice. That's, Jack was playing with fire.
Yeah.
And in the end, he's doomed to wander the earth with only that burning coal and a hollowed-out turnip to light his way.
Oh, wow.
Talk about your eternal flame.
Yeah, talk about an eternal flame. Although I always thought it was a pumpkin, not a turnip.
Well, and that's where the story gets even more interesting.
Okay.
Because you see, pumpkins, they're native to the Americas.
Ah, okay.
So when those early European settlers arrived, they brought that jack-o'-lantern tradition with them, but they had to adapt it.
Right.
No pumpkins in sight, so they used what they had, turnips.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's a cool little example of how these traditions, they evolve and blend with new cultures.
That is fascinating. I never knew that. And it makes me think about another spooky figure.
Okay.
The Headless Horseman.
Yes.
You know that image of him searching endlessly for his lost head? That's Halloween night creepy right there.
It's true. The Headless Horseman, he embodies that unsettling idea of a spirit unable to find peace.
Yeah.
Searching for something that it's lost, especially as that veil thins between the worlds.
Oh, wow.
It's a stark reminder that not all spirits are friendly.
Right.
Particularly on a night like Halloween.
Yeah, for sure.
You gotta watch out.
Okay, that image is definitely going to be stuck with me all night.
Yeah.
Speaking of unsettling spirits, though, let's talk about the banshee.
Oh, yes.
That wail is the stuff of nightmares.
Oh, for sure.
And it seems particularly fitting for Halloween, don't you think?
Oh, it is. It is.
Like, why is that?
It's definitely a chilling sound, and yes, deeply tied to Halloween. That mournful cry, it was believed to herald an impending death.
Oh,
A
wow.
warning from the other side.
Really?
Imagine hearing that on Halloween night,
Oh, man.
when that veil is at its thinnest.
Yeah.
It sends shivers down the spine.
No kidding.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder, like, do these ancient fears, do they still hold power today?
Yeah.
Because let's face it, we're still drawn to those spooky stories,
We are.
those local legends that, send a shiver down our spine.
Absolutely.
And I bet even in your own neighborhood, like you've got a haunted house or a creepy graveyard with its own chilling tales, right?
Oh, absolutely. Every town seems to have its own haunted hotspot or local legend. And those stories, they stick with us because they tap into something primal, a fear of the unknown that transcends time and culture.
It's like our collective anxieties just get woven into these narratives, which makes them even more powerful.
It's true.
But let's be honest, things get really interesting when we start talking about actual encounters with the paranormal,
Yes.
especially on Halloween night.
Right.
Because it's not just spooky stories, right?
No.
People report some truly unexplainable events happening this time of year. All right, buckle up, everybody, because we're about to wade into the really spooky stuff.
Okay.
Those real-life encounters with the paranormal that seem to, spike on Halloween night.
Right.
What is going on there?
Why?
Is it just our overactive imaginations? Like, are we just making this stuff up?
Even without, diving headfirst into the supernatural, we can't ignore the power of the human psyche.
Right.
Especially on a night like Halloween.
Oh, yeah.
Think about it. Our senses are heightened.
Yeah.
We're primed for something spooky to happen.
We are. We totally are.
And our imaginations are working overtime.
So we're basically setting ourselves up to be spooked.
In a way, yeah, because we're expecting the unexpected.
Right, yeah.
So even a creaky door or a sudden gust of wind, it's enough to, send chills down our spines.
Right.
But then there are those experiences that go beyond a simple case of, just being nervous.
Totally. And what about the people who report, genuinely unexplained phenomena on Halloween?
Yeah.
Things that can't just be brushed off as an overactive imagination.
Yeah.
Like our listeners wrote in, and some of these stories about increased paranormal activity on Halloween night are pretty compelling.
Oh, they are. And it's fascinating, from a research perspective.
Yeah.
We see this documented spike in these kinds of reports around Halloween. Everything from, cold spots and strange noises to, full-blown apparitions.
Wow.
It's as if that thinning veil that the Celts believed in, it's almost like it's somehow imprinted itself on our collective consciousness.
It's true. And let's not forget about all the people out there who believe they're contacting spirits of loved ones who've passed on.
Right.
Especially on Halloween when that connection is supposed to be strongest.
Yeah.
I'm curious about you. Have you ever investigated any paranormal activity on Halloween yourself? Because you strike me as someone who's got a good head on their shoulders. But I'm also dying to know if you've had any personal experiences.
Let's just say that I've had my fair share of spooky encounters.
Okay.
Especially on Halloween night.
Okay.
It's hard to say for sure, whether those experiences were truly supernatural or just my senses on high alert.
Right.
But they definitely left me with more questions than answers.
Yeah, I think some things are better left unexplained, right?
Right.
It's not just Halloween night, though, where these spooky feelings can kind of creep in. We've got superstitions that follow us all year round, and it's like, why are we so hardwired to believe in that stuff? You know what I mean?
Well, superstitions, they're a fascinating window into the human psyche. They highlight those deep-seated fears and anxieties that we have that have been passed down through generations.
Right.
And many of them, especially the ones tied to Halloween, they revolve around that age-old fear of the unknown.
Right, totally. Speaking of which, do you have any superstitions that you stick to, like avoid walking under ladders, toss salt over your shoulder?
I'm more interested in understanding the why behind those beliefs,
Okay.
Take black cats, for instance.
Right.
They're considered bad luck in some cultures, but that superstition likely stems from their association with, witches and the supernatural.
It's true. It's amazing how those old fears, they get all tangled up in our traditions.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, last superstition I got to ask about.
Okay.
The witching hour,
Yes.
3 a.m., everyone knows.
Right.
That's when things get creepy.
Right.
Is there any, like, historical basis for that?
Well, if you think about it symbolically, 3 a.m. is the opposite of 3 p.m.,
Okay.
a time that is often associated with the crucifixion of Christ.
Right, right.
So, in a way, 3 a.m. becomes a time when that spiritual veil is at its weakest, most vulnerable.
Yeah, it's like the universe is saying, all right, time for the spooky stuff to come out and play.
Exactly, and it plays on that primal fear of the dark,
Yeah.
that sense of unease when we're at our most vulnerable,
Right.
asleep in the dead of night.
And maybe there's something to that, that vulnerability, that thinning of the veil, that makes us more susceptible to the unexplained.
Right.
It's up to each of us to decide what we believe, I guess.
Precisely, whether you approach Halloween with a sense of, childlike wonder or a healthy dose of skepticism. One thing's for sure, it's a night that invites us to confront those age-old fears
Yeah.
and mysteries that continue to fascinate us.
It really is. It's such a fascinating time of year. There's so much to unpack.
There is.
And I think, we've just really scratched the surface here.
Absolutely.
But thank you so much for, diving into this with me.
Oh, it's been my pleasure.
And to everyone listening, I hope this Halloween, as the clock ticks past midnight and those shadows seem to dance a little closer, I want you to ask yourself,
Yes.
are you just enjoying the spooky fun? Or do you feel that shiver down your spine, wondering if there might be something more out there lurking, just beyond our understanding?
Right.
Something ancient, powerful, and maybe even a little bit magical.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween, everybody.